Maybe you think you should just go out and run. Just forget about the rest of it. You'll run. If you feel good, you'll do this. If you don't, you'll do that. But you're missing out on the benefits of having a plan, of knowing what you're doing. And along with that is keeping a training log. So today, I'm going to give you my 5 reasons you should keep a training log. If you haven't been with me here on the channel before, hit that subscribe button, stick around for more videos about running every Tuesday and Thursday on this show I call Runner's High. If you haven't been here before, you don't know yet, but my name's Jesse Funk, and this is a show where we talk about everything running. Now, today I want to talk about the training log. It's something that I've been using for a very, very long time, and recently when I was talking with Patrick Gilday on the Smart Athlete podcast, another show I do here on this YouTube channel, comes out on Fridays. Patrick is a former pro runner, and he was saying he's got his training logs for the last 20 some odd years. He can go back and look and see, what was I doing? How did I feel? All those kind of things. Now, that's one thing to look at, but there are 5 good reasons you should keep a training log. Now, there's different ways to keep a training log. I know in college, we had these little printouts. They were in like a little binder, like this guy. This, however, is not my training log. I found it, and apparently I was trying to build some kind of world like I was Tolkien in college, and didn't do a great job. So that's what I found in that. So that was a nice trip down memory lane. Not the one I was looking for in my training log. So you can do it with that. You can get something nice like this. This is my wife's training log. You can get these things on Amazon. These are by VeloPress. I forget whether it's Shalane Flanagan or who it is that makes these training logs. They're very, very nice. But something like that is something you can get. Or what my coach and I do nowadays is we use a program like Training Peaks, or in particular we do use Training Peaks, and that looks like this. You can see my training here on the screen, the things that I've been doing recently as we've been building back after I had the stress fracture. So I still swim and bike every week, and then I have 4 days of running as we're getting back going. And then soon, hopefully, I will be doing my first race in 2 years coming up. I'll have a video on that, 4th of July. The video obviously will come out afterwards, but looking forward to that. In any case, having a training log is a very important part of the number one thing I talk about on this channel, and that first reason here is consistency. Having that consistency is some kind of accountability, right? Where we say, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna run every day. I'm gonna run every other day. Whatever it is your plan is, that training log keeps you accountable and keeps you consistent. And consistency over time breeds results. So that is the biggest reason that you should keep a training log, but it's not the only one. The second reason you should keep a training log, and this is a big proponent from me, which makes sense given that I'm doing this video, is that it is a diagnostic tool for various reasons, but in particular, if you get injured, if you have a bad race, if you have a bad workout, you have a log of all of the things that you've been doing. Did you overload yourself? Have you been feeling bad in the time leading up to that event, whatever that event was, whether it was a race or a workout? Was it something that you ate if you're logging your food? You can look in the log and see, is there any pattern that emerges that says, this is probably an indication of what went wrong. Now we can move forward and we can say, let's not do that again. It's an easy way to look back and know exactly what was happening. Now, it's important that you don't just log, okay, I ran 5 miles at this pace. Log how you feel. That's so, so important. When I talk about rate of perceived exertion, RPE, on this channel, you can actually use a 1 to 10 scale. The Borg RPE scale is actually larger than that. I think it's like 1 to 27 or something odd. But 1 to 10 is fine. And if you rate your RPE any given day, and also describe it, say, it was an easy day, I had a rate of perceived exertion of about 5 out of 10, I felt great. Or you could say something like, it was 5 out of 10, but I also felt fatigued. That can happen. Having that information to look back on, you put it in, and then look back on it and say, oh, I know during this time of the year, during this phase of training, I often feel bad, and then I recover and I feel better. Those kind of things help you be consistent over time and get better. And along those lines is number 3, and that is perspective. I mentioned Patrick Gilday in the beginning of this video, and now he has his training logs from basically the last 20 years. Now, I don't have that many, but especially in Training Peaks, I can go back and see, hey, the last couple of years, what have we been doing? How did I feel? What was my volume? Having that perspective, especially if you're building into something, is nice. You can say, this is how far I've come. I know from wherever my training log is that looks like this, that isn't actually this thing, my weird fiction writings. Once I find it, I know there's a section like the height of my college training. We were only training 8 to 10 hours a week. Now, it was in mileage at the time, but that was a big perspective for me for when I got into triathlon training, because then there was a point I was doing double that amount of hours in a week. And so to think about from where I was to double the volume, to say I've come a long ways, it takes a while to get to that kind of training volume and intensity to know, I'm doing pretty well. And even now, I'm not training too much under like my college volume, and I'm in my early 30s. The perspective here is that not many people can continue, so I can be relatively satisfied that I'm doing a good job. So having that perspective helps you on your own journey take these tidbits out and know that, hey, I'm doing really well, or hey, maybe I have, lost a little bit of volume or lost a little bit of intensity, but that is because of this. And I am capable, because here it is in the log, here's the perspective. I know I'm capable of these things, and I can get back to them if I want to. So that perspective is important, and the only way you're able to have a good objective perspective is to have that training log. Number 4 is motivation. Now, you might not think that, a nice training log is going to give you motivation, but it will. And the reason it gives you motivation is that likely you're going to be doing similar workouts over time. Maybe it's just your long runs. That's 80% of our volume, 70-80% of our volume as runners, probably going to be long runs. But maybe it's like my favorite workout in college was 1,000-meter repeats. We do 1,000 meters, 90-second rest, and we do those on repeats. And we'd start out with 5 and build to the season, do 8 to 10 to get ready to race 5K. You can take a workout like that you've repeated and say, well, where am I now compared to 3 months ago, 6 months ago, last year? And see the difference. Hopefully see the progress. And know that, hey, I can continue to be motivated because I'm seeing results through the consistency, through all the training, and that feeds the fire. You already have a little bit of motivation, but it never hurts to have a little bit more. And knowing that you can look back and say, man, I could only do 3 of these intervals to begin with, and now I'm doing 6, now I'm doing 9 at the same speed. That's a big trick too, because if you're going the same speed, but you're keeping that same speed for a longer period of time, especially when we're talking intervals, that's a big win. You don't just have to be faster. So having that motivation is huge, and being able to feed your own motivation through keeping that training log is a big deal. But number 5 is something I want you to really think about. And this is kind of the point of a lot of things that I do here at Solpre. Yeah, we make products for athletes, but I put out this show, I do the podcast because I want you to reflect. I want you to think. I want you to use your mind. Think about who you are. Reflect on where you've been. Reflect on what you want to do. Look at that training log and say, those are my favorite workouts. That's what I love to do. That's how I know I'm generally not interested in the marathon. It's kind of the thing to do as you get older, but I just love like 5K, 10K. I love going fast. Those are my favorite workouts. I know that internally because I've been doing this for so long, but also because, like I said before, my favorite workout in college was that 1,000-meter repeats, because you can go fast and it's kind of long and it's this high intensity interval, but you have to keep after it. I feed on that stuff, and seeing that in my training log helps validate those ideas and point me in the right direction to know that, okay, now that I've moved past my journey to try to be a pro triathlete, which didn't quite work out, You can hear my story in various episodes of the podcast, or on the Executive Athletes podcast or Athletes Mindset Academy. I also did a episode for them. In any case, you have the ability to reflect and say, these are the things I want to do. And I know, since I'm past that, let's come back, 5K, 10K, like that's my bread and butter. Yeah, I'm getting older. Maybe I'm not able to be as fast as I used to be, but I'm going to give it my damn best. That's what I'm going to do, because that's what I love to do. And having that training log helps point you in the right direction. If you aren't quite sure, if you go down a road and you say, man, I really loved doing this thing, but maybe I love something else more. That objective perspective in your training log, the things that you wrote down time after time after time, when you reflect on them, help you not only see a clearer path forward to the things you want to do, but they help you reflect on how I've progressed, how I feel about myself in my workouts, how I talk to myself when it's just me logging for myself. What's my internal voice? All of those kind of things that play into who we are and how we perform can be put in the training log, so you can look at them at a later date, reflect on them, and grow athletically and as a person. So, do you have any questions for me? Leave them down in the comments below. I'd love to do a video for you in the future, and I'll see you next time on the next episode of Runner's High.